Hey everyone, I've been thinking a little bit about last week's question and how is our vision for what's ahead focused on God. And this week I just want to offer 3 simple shifts, questions that are apparent to questions that are really helpful, that might help us step into that really well, especially as this season changes. Fall is upon us. For many, school is starting for kids, grandkids, neighbors, some kind of rhythm of watching sports or not watching sports live. All kinds of things are starting to settle in this season where we usually kind of come out of summer and into a regular rhythm. And as we do that, I think there's 3 simple shifts that might help us live really well into a vision and a picture of the fall that is focused on God. And so there's 3 shifts. Here they are, really simple. A shift from what we don't know to what we do know. So easy to focus on all the things we don't know. Like for a while we thought school was going to be in person and our kids needed like these masks or buffs or whatever that would actually match their school uniforms, and we thought we knew they were going to school, and now we don't. We can focus on that. We can focus on all the things we don't know about elections and mail and voting and when churches are all going to come back, when large mass gatherings are going to be good, what the governor's going to say next. There's 1,000 things we just don't know. But when we're living day to day and when we're living a God-focused life, we can focus on what we do know. And what we know is that we're called to point everybody in Jesus' direction. And we know that our DNA as a church, we've talked about that as faces and places. That there are faces we see in all the places that we go, whether virtually or physically, that we have the opportunity to step right in and point them in God's direction. And so just like last fall, we focused on faces and places, I just want to bring that back to the forefront and ask us, what faces, what places, and how are we pointing them in the direction of Jesus? Let's not get caught up in what we don't know. What we do know is God's with us, His Spirit's alive in us, He's gifted us, and He's given us connection, virtually and physically, with various people at our works, in our neighborhoods, as hopefully temperatures start to drop and people start coming outside this fall. We can start praying and preparing and thinking and strategizing ways to really engage and love and bring life to people around us, even in the midst of what we don't know. So that's the first shift, what we don't know to what we do know. Second shift is this, from who we miss to who we see. Right now I'm sitting outside my favorite coffee shop, and here's what I know, is the cafe has not been open, and I really miss a lot of the people that I would see as I came here 2 or 3 times a week. I don't have their contact and who their first names, know a ton about their stories. I still pray for them regularly, but I don't get to see them. But I get to go in and get my drink instead of through the drive-thru. Even before the place opened, I would go through the drive-thru like 2-3 times in a row just to talk to people. But here's the thing. I can go in and I can see them. I can encourage them. I got to see pictures of some murals. One of them was painting. I got to ask about the second job of another. There are ways I got to engage these faces from my places that I just care about and want to encourage. For all the people we might miss, for all the things that we wish were true right now, there are people that we see. And so if we make that shift from who we miss to who we see, we can trust that God has put just the right people in front of us, and He has work for us to do right where we are in bringing life and pointing people in Jesus' direction. Third shift is this, from what's being said to what God's been saying. Huge shift. So many things are being said by so many people. And the beauty of this is that God has things to say about all of that, and because we're pointing our life in His direction, whether it's in our life groups or doing traditional Bible studies, whether you've embraced and are finding your way through Discovery Bible Study, or even from content that you're receiving on the weekends or in your quiet times with God, God is a speaking God when we are willing to be a listening people. And so as we prayerfully enter all of our faces and engage all kinds of places and see all kinds of faces, we can shift the conversation from just what's being said and just having opinions and waxing wise and guessing and theorizing and all those things. Instead, bringing what God's been saying to us lately and offer that in a hopeful, helpful, encouraging way to others. We talk about sharing what God is offering us in risky ways in hopes of pointing people in Jesus' direction, inviting people in to discover with us what God is up to. And so these are all things that can still happen. Even in all the ambiguity, even in all the change, all the craziness, God has taken care of us. He is taking care of us. He will take care of us. And as we move from survival to thriving, if we really want a God focused mission, then we can shift from what we don't know and focus on what we do know. From focusing on who we miss to who we see. And a shift from what's being said to instead what God's been saying. These are all invitations God makes to us, and they don't require any particular set of circumstance. In all circumstances, we can live this kind of way with God, trusting that He'll do great things in us and through us as we join Jesus and bring life around us.